John Legend.
The story of how John became a legend is one of raw talent.
Thank you.
But it wasn't always an easy road.
I was devastated. I didn't realize how sick she was because she wasn't telling us. You gonna make me cry?
Addiction issues would land John's mother in jail.
I always just felt like I had to be perfect for the family and like hold things together.
I can remember John asking me, why? Why, Dad?
And help form his own view of the world.
I don't think John Legend is just a stage name. I think it's something he's internalized of like, I have a role here.
Inspired by the experience that shaped his childhood,
I've had family members who are in prison, and I want them to be able to have the pride to support their family.
John has taken his voice beyond the stage.
The criminal justice system has treated black people as though our lives are not as valuable.
And is on a mission to restore the rights of the incarcerated.
Anybody told you to shut up and sing?
Of course they've told me to shut up and sing, but I think it's worth the risk for me. I can't just be silent.
The most extraordinary lives follow undefined paths. To find your voice, you may need to journey into the unknown. I'm Carlos Watson, editor of OZY, and these are Defining Moments. The global pandemic has changed everything. The way we live, the way we work, and even the way we make television. I caught up with John earlier this year on a remote video call.
Okay, we're officially recording now, so.
First of all, I wish I was sitting there with you, but appreciate you doing this remotely.
My pleasure.
Hey, John, you know what's interesting is I hear you talk about this, and I've heard you in a couple of different places. You're making me think about you in politics. Would you make a real run? Would you go for it one day?
I don't think I'm going to ever run for office, but when I started thinking about becoming an artist, even when I was young, that was part of what I defined being a successful artist as, was somebody who got involved in what was going on in the world. Because I looked at Stevie Wonder, I looked at Marvin Gaye, I looked at Nina Simone, I looked at all these different artists that was part of who they were as an artist. They were influencers with civil rights, with politics, and they used their voice wisely, they used it powerfully to make change.
I believe all of us have a destiny and a purpose. And so in John's case, the city of Springfield offered to the community for the first time sibling visitation. And guess what baby was born? And so the local newspaper came to the hospital, to the nursery, took a picture. I always say he started off, I'm here. And he's been in the paper ever since.
When he came out, I noticed how alert and how apt he was.
He had an ear for music, and because we recognized that, we had him take lessons. And he kind of blew the teacher's mind. I'm talking about 3 to 4 years old, he was able to comprehend what he was being taught.
My brother had given me a book called How to Raise a Brighter Child. One day, he was about 2 years old. I walked in the kitchen, and he had a book in his hand, and he was reading the book.
One thing about John, whatever he was interested in, he was in it all the way. He was very passionate about it, and he did it with excellence.
Graduating high school number 2 in his class at 16 years of age, John was determined to make history. He just didn't know how.
I was a straight A student, I was student body president, I was prom king, and I sang a lot.
When he was 6 years old, right here in this church that we're at, he joined the choir.
I sang at church, I sang in talent shows, I sang at school in school musicals. So I was a performer, I was a high achiever.
My father primarily was the person who said, whatever y'all want to do, I'm down with it. I'm behind you. I'm for it, okay? Be what you are. Whatever it is you're passionate about, that's what you run after.
I was homeschooled a few years when I was young and skipped a couple grades. So by the time I got to high school, I was 12 years old.
Wow, wait, back up a second. You were how old when you started high school?
At 12. Most of my class was 14.
And how awkward was that?
It was awkward.
One day I did asked him, what did he want to be when he grew up? He said, a chef cook. And I looked at him like, all these brains, and you talk about you want to be a chef cook? Are you serious? I didn't say it to him, but I thought it.
When I first got there, I felt super shy, super nervous, really out of place. But by the time junior and senior year roll around, I just was growing into myself, figuring out what I wanted to do, figuring out who I wanted to be. And I always felt like music was a way that helped me do that, because once people see you on stage, you just start to find ways to connect to people. And that helped me bridge that gap when it came to my age and my social maturity.
Talk to me a little bit about the music. I think I read that either your mother or your father was a very good singer. Is that right?
Well, both of my parents are very into music. Neither of them are professional musicians, but my mother directed the choir at my church. My dad played the drums at my church and also sang in church. And then my grandmother was the organist at our church, and my grandfather was the pastor, so we were the church. We ran the church, and so we loved music. It was a huge part of our upbringing, and I was performing in front of people at the age of 6, 7 years old.
Hey, well, speaking of that, then tell me a little bit about your mom. What's she like, and what was she like growing up? I think I heard you share a little bit before that maybe her road wasn't always an easy one.
Yeah, well, it started out, my mom and my dad were like the perfect parents. My mom homeschooled us. My mother was beautiful and intelligent. I think people looked at us like we were an ideal nuclear family, and we were for a while.
Following the death of his grandmother, young John Stevens stepped up as a provider while his mother struggled with depression and addiction.
After my grandmother died, who was the church organist, she was my mother's mother. They were very close. My mother got really depressed.
Me and her had become such good friends. You know, we turned from being mother, daughter, discipline, to friends. I was devastated. I was not expecting it. And for her to leave like that, it was a bit much on me, and I didn't know how to handle that. You gonna make me cry?
My mother developed a drug addiction as she was trying to kind of self-medicate her pain and depression. It really hurt her for a long time.
At the time, it sent her, I believe, into a emotional tailspin that eventually affected our marriage, and we got a divorce.
We were all estranged from her for, like a decade.
That's a real amount of time.
Yeah, it's a long amount of time, yeah.
So what did that, I mean, I could guess, but what did it do to you?
I always just felt like I had to be perfect for the family and like hold things together. And, in a lot of ways, that's what spurred me to be such a high achiever and made me keep working hard in school and do all these other things. But you can't always be perfect. And so part of my own issues is trying to figure out like how to admit vulnerability and let people in emotionally in that way.
I can remember John asking me, why? Why, Dad? And of course, I couldn't explain it sufficiently that would satisfy the question. And that was the extent of his inquiry.
His parents' divorce would become a defining moment for John, and his penchant for being in the right place at the right time would put him on a path to becoming a legend. John Stevens had suffered his parents' divorce, and he knew it would be up to him to define his own success. You know, I was talking to your dad, and he told me the story about you writing an essay while you were in high school. If I had met you in high school, would you have told me, hey, one day I'm going to become this famous singer?
I believe that. I also wanted to be a big lawyer. I love Matlock. I wanted to be the president of the United States. I wanted to be a few different things. And when McDonald's had an essay competition for Black History Month, the prompt was, how do you intend to make Black history?
Oh, that was a good question.
Yeah, and in my answer, I basically said, I intend to become a successful artist and use that success to help my community. I talked about some of the issues I saw going on in my community and that I wanted to be there to help.
As a matter of fact, he won the essay. He outlined in that essay what he's currently doing right now.
John's talent, academics, and drive put him on course to becoming the first in his family to attend college. Hey, talk to me about choosing to go to Penn. What drove that?
I was the #2 kid in my class. I got good SAT scores, and I figured I should apply to the best schools. So I applied to Harvard, I applied to Penn, I applied to Georgetown, and I got into all of them.
Pushing college, you gotta go to school, you gotta go to college, you gotta get an education. And that wasn't our life mission. We was like, you do whatever turns you on, do it, and do it with all your heart, go for it.
Penn made more sense. They gave me a better financial aid offer. It was easier for me to drive to my family if I needed to. Being in Philadelphia during that time actually ended up being very important for me as a musician. It was a really vibrant community, a strong network of other artists that were there. I would see, Common there, D'Angelo, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, and Questlove, and all these incredible artists were coming there to create. I got to be around all of that. I remember passing my demo to Questlove. He doesn't remember. But, being there during that time was inspiring and helped me make connections with people that I still work with to this day.
One of those connections was John's roommate, Devo Harris, who also happened to be Kanye West's cousin.
One year, we lived in a house where for him to get to his room, he had to go through my room. And so there was lots of uncomfortable moments with that. Living with John was great. John was the guy, I think we had a house of 8. He was the one that was responsible for collecting the bills from everyone because he was the responsible guy.
Had you thought back then that you were going to break through, or when was the first time that you actually felt like you were on the edge, even if it ultimately didn't convert?
In '98, I was a senior at Penn. I had just played on Lauryn Hill's Miseducation album. I played piano on Everything Is Everything, so that was my claim to fame around campus, and it was kind of like the thing that I said to let people know that I'm for real,
Right.
I was in his band from early stage, so we would perform at weddings and at bars and little festivals in the park.
I would play little gigs around Philly, and I thought I was ready. I got a manager, we got my first offer, but it wasn't a good offer.
I first met John 13 years ago when his star was just rising. There were times when you were on unemployment, right?
I was on unemployment, and I always believed that I was right around the corner, even 6 years before I was actually around the corner.
As much as things look great for John now, early on, there's a lot of negativity, a lot of no's, and he never seemed to be swayed by that. And I think part of it was when he was coming up, there's lots of issues that came and went, but he just stayed steady on his path.
There wasn't a lot about, Dad, man, I'm having a tough time at the University of Pennsylvania, or Dad in high school, I feel strange. He never talked about stuff like that.
John Stevens refused to give up, and in 2001, he and Devo moved to New York, where a key introduction was the break he'd been working toward.
I was telling Kanye, my roommate can sing. He can sing his ass off. My roommate's amazing. You gotta meet him. I'm gonna perform in Harlem this weekend with my roommate. And I told Kanye, you should come to our show. I didn't think he would come. He has plenty of work to do with Jay-Z and all these artists, and he showed up.
The Blueprint was his kind of arrival as a producer. He had several songs on the album, so did Just Blaze, and both of them became known for being those dope young producers who chopped up soul samples and were the soundtrack to a lot of the best hip-hop at that moment.
John was an amazing singer, but then Kanye had cool factor. And so, can we pit this talent with the cool factor? That would be exceptional. We can add this consistent, flavorful, soulful tone to anything Kanye is doing. At any time, it'll be consistent and pitch perfect, and we can add some coolness to what John is doing.
I met Kanye at the right time when he was still on the grind and trying to be heard and trying to be seen and had time and energy to work with me. I started working with him at exactly the right time to take advantage of that.
At some point in this process, we're meeting a lot of Kanye's crew from Chicago, and one of those guys was Jay Ivy.
Performance poet Jay Ivy had already earned his place among the hip-hop elite.
Jay Ivy was just hearing John sing in the studio and was just saying, "You sound like a legend. Like, you're not John Stevens, you're John Legend." Kanye would be like, "Yo, you gotta change your name to John Legend." So then he went ahead with it, and I think that's one of the best career moves ever made.
With that, and as he worked to support his family back home in Ohio, John Legend, as the world knows him, was born. So Kanye breaks through, and then all of a sudden, everyone's taking a fresh second look.
Yeah.
What would have happened if Kanye hadn't broken through then? What do you think would have happened?
I don't know what would have happened, but I do believe that it was good luck.
They both don't need each other, but they both strengthen each other.
They always say luck is when opportunity meets preparation. I think I was so prepared. I had been making music my entire life. I was preparing myself and just waiting for the right opportunity.
By 2001, John and his college roommate were living together in New York City, with John Legend being taken seriously for the first time.
We had a place on 7th Street and 2nd Avenue in the East Village in Manhattan. It was called Club 120, and we had great parties. We made like most of his first album there. So when you hear Get Lifted, that first album, a lot of that was the sound of us having moved to New York, young 20-somethings in Manhattan. That was an amazing, amazing time.
He was born John Stevens to a working-class family from Ohio. Tell me about how your dating life changed as you became more successful.
I've had infidelity issues in the past, yes.
Still?
Well, I'm single now, so no issues.
When we caught up again 13 years later, John sure wasn't single anymore. It seems like Chrissy's perfect for you because if you don't mind me saying it, I feel as if you're a different person than the person I knew back then.
Yeah, it's true. She's loosened me up. She's tapped into my sense of humor and just fun and play. And I would not be the same person I am without her. She's opened up different sides of me that I didn't think about before, I didn't access before in the same way.
I'm John. I'm also known as Chrissy Teigen's trophy husband.
I truly have the most incredible husband on the planet. Our family's grown together, our careers have grown together. This is so sappy. I'm sorry. I hate it.
I think it's helped me just be better as a person and as an entertainer, too, because I think it just makes me more fun.
She's the kind of woman you write songs about.
Also, my kids did a wonderful job teaching us about character, teaching us just how to be good human beings. And I carry those lessons with me still.
Hey, I'm going to ask you about falling in love with Chrissy. Tell me that story if you don't mind. How did you guys meet, but maybe even more importantly, how did you guys fall in love?
Well, we met September 13, 2006.
I produced a song on John's second album called Stereo, and they made a video for it.
The song wasn't a single, so I wasn't supposed to be shooting a video for it, but my friend, he was like, I really like this song. I know it's not a single. I'm just going to create a video for it because I want to show people what I can do. And he showed me a picture of Chrissy and was like, here's the woman I want to cast. Do you approve? And I was like, yes. He's like, I think you'll like her, et cetera, et cetera. So we shoot the video that day, and I was like, wow, she's beautiful, she's sexy, she's funny. We hit it off, we had chemistry. We started calling and texting each other.
I'd met her not too long after that. I'm like, oh, that's girl from the video, that's cool. It's my video, yeah. And then I saw her again and again. I'm like, hey, what's going on here? This is different.
I think I started to fall in love with her over text because she's just so funny. All the humor that we're seeing on Twitter now.
I always have a note in my pocket that says John did it, just in case I'm murdered.
I didn't do it, though.
Because I don't want him to remarry. That's so great. She's hilarious.
I was seeing that wit personally, in our, text exchanges.
The only good argument for the internet has been that if it were not for the internet, I think the world may have missed out on Chrissy's awesomeness.
We literally felt like we fell in love for real when we went on a vacation together in Italy. And it was just a magical trip where we're like, we're not just dating, we're really in love.
When it happened that you'd said, okay, I'm ready for the next step, because you've been together for 7 years, right?
I could see myself living with her and spending time with her forever. I knew I could envision us having kids together. It's time for us to get married.
We got married at the same place, and we've been together ever since, and shot the music video for All of Me that same week, right at Lake Como. 'Cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you.
You know, it feels like you've entered a new chapter in your career, maybe in part because it's now Chrissy and John. Has that added some bounce to your career, do you think?
Oh, clearly, because I was kind of known as, you know, a musician's musician, but also very serious. And I think Chrissy showing people that I could be fun, just me being on The Voice, has helped me have more opportunities in my career.
I think she helps John loosen up, and he helps bring structure to the combined relationship. Obviously, they're like a powerhouse. Powerhouse.
Is our relationship just a really long, convoluted publicity stunt to get you more Twitter followers?
I have more Twitter followers than you, so no.
John Legend was named People's Sexiest Man Alive last week. He tells us, quote, "It's been fun, but it's a lot to live up to."
With Chrissy, John found the sense of family that he'd lost as a child. And together, Hollywood's it couple would use their power to help the lives of others.
John Legend.
Thank you. Nina Simone said it's an artist's duty to reflect the times in which we live. The struggle for justice is right now.
With an essay he wrote back in high school, John Legend charted his own path to making history.
We lived in the most incarcerated country in the world. There are more black men under correctional control today than were under slavery in 1850. People marching with our song, "We are with you, we see you, we love you," and march on. God bless you.
John Legend is about more than the music, and he's encouraging others to focus on what's most important.
I'm John Legend, and I vote to end mass incarceration. I vote for a free America.
I know your mom spent some time in jail during what were some really difficult times, difficult moments. I've been impressed to kind of see the work you've been doing in the area of prison reform.
I am not only an artist, but somebody who speaks out about the things that I care about.
Gifted with raw talent and some good luck along the way,
I know what it's like to be part of a broken family. I know what it's like for drugs and other issues to tear your family apart.
the kid from Springfield, Ohio, continues to make history today.
Ooh.
I really do believe that part of who I am is to be engaged in politics.
So here I am, live at the White House.
And tries to be a leader.
Hello, everybody.
Tries to influence society to do the right things.
The criminal justice system has treated black people as though our lives are not as valuable.
I don't think John Legend is just a stage name. I think it's something he's internalized of like, I have a role here. Sort of self-fulfilling in that way.
Why have you decided to lend your celebrity to so many political causes?
Honestly, it's probably not good for business. It's probably alienating some people.
Anybody told you to shut up and sing?
Of course they've told me to shut up and sing, but I think it's worth the risk for me because I care enough about these issues that I can't just be silent.
I think it's his passion about what he likes that fuels his tenacity.
I've had family members who are in prison and they all want to participate. They all want to get a job. I want them to be able to have the pride to support their family and do it in a way that's with dignity and with honor.
I hope you don't mind me asking, how's your mom doing these days?
Oh, man. She's long since given up any kind of substances. She's healthy, she's happy, she's beautiful, and she's back. She's incredible.
Well, I'm so happy for you and your family. That's got to feel good.
Yeah.
I think as an adult, when he evaluates the dynamics of all of that, he understands why, and he accepts why, and he has embraced both his mother and myself, understanding that life happens to us all.
Are we voting, everybody?
As he's transformed from John Stevens to John Legend, he has an opportunity to leave a tremendous legacy.
The key to success, the key to happiness, is opening your mind and your heart to love.
That child has a picture of who he is, and he goes for it.
I know what it's like to protect your heart from pain and disappointment. I know what it means to be all about the rat race and winning.
Of course, you really don't know at the time how far a passion will take a person, and so you just watch it unfold.
Your life and your happiness will be way more defined by the quality of your relationships, not the quantity.
You tell me, have the last 15 years been as good as advertised?
I love my family. I love that I get to create music every day for a living. I love the writing process. I love performing for people. I love the role that I play in society. Just trying to find ways to keep everybody connected, keep everybody entertained, and keep everybody feeling like we're in this together.
Hey man, that's incredible. I'm really happy to hear that for you and for your family. And I'm looking forward to what happens next.